Well, the Xbox era with Call of Duty is getting started just today. Modern Warfare 3, as Call of Duty Warzone and Modern Warfare 3 start Season 5, they announced just yesterday that MW3 would be hitting Game Pass. It was a surprise announcement. They kept it quiet. It may have been something they were internally deciding on when and how to do it, but timing it with the season makes the most sense. And I have an upload right now on the channel that says Xbox Game Pass, a new era. Take a second, make sure and go watch that before you watch this live discussion. I walk through a lot in that video. We talk about how the recent price changes are likely one of the reasons that they are now really wanting to throw the full weight of the Activision Blizzard titles onto Game Pass, but they're likely going to do that slowly. I also address how there is mixed response to MW3 being the first Call of Duty to land on Game Pass, as it was not received very well critically when it came out last year. We also just talked about what they could do going forward leading up to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, as well as we looked at the potential cloud-only tier for Game Pass, or a tier with ads. We looked at the article that talked about that and just sort of discussed what that means. But then we also looked at the value. What does it cost to maintain Game Pass and day and date right now versus buying games? I sort of weigh the two and kind of use that as a segue to look at the FTC. The FTC arguing now that Game Pass has been degraded, and I looked at their statements as well as the response from Microsoft, and I weighed in on what I thought and where that would go. So make sure, watch that video. I go through all those things and give you a breakdown and give you my thoughts, give you my opinions. And every time we do an upload, it then redirects to a live stream, and that's what you're watching now. So you may be watching this later, so make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit the bell button so you don't miss the uploads, the live shows. If you're one of the members of this channel, you get to start the day with me before any of this happens with morning coffee. We hang out for about 30 minutes and just sort of set the stage for the day, and then we end the day with members as well in the writer's room. That's how we kind of plan these shows. So be sure to watch that upload, go over there, leave a comment. That way you'll know what I think. And now it's time to hear what you think. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Make sure you go through that morning ritual, smash that like button, and you guys are already going crazy with the membership. Stone Spire, Han shot first, and so did you. First member of the day, and then 2 singles from Raven, and then a 5-bomb from Silent Spartan. So starting us off nice and strong with 8 members. Thank you so much for doing that. Every 25, I give 5 back to the community. And don't forget, if you guys order that coffee, I try to shout you out during the stream. And somebody did order some coffee. They did order some coffee during the members-only morning coffee segment this morning. So thank you so much, Alan, for the win. Alan FTW ordered one this morning. So thank you so much for doing that, Alan. And then another single comes in from Lone Wolf and takes us to 9. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this, because one of the main things I said in the video was that, and Mo was in the premiere. He's probably here. I'm curious. You know, he was pushing back. He was pushing back on what I was claiming. Another single from Lone Wolf, thank you. And he was saying, look, it's still the best value in gaming. Game Pass is still the best value. And my contention in the video is there is still an insane amount of value on Game Pass. But $240 a year is quite a bit steeper than what it used to be. When I first got on Game Pass, so long ago, it was $10 a month, and I was getting games all the time. I was getting day and date. Well, now, if I still want that, I got to double that fee up to $20, which doubles the annual. And it used to be, it's like, oh man, $120 a year, that's pretty good. That's like buying 2 full-price games. That's not too bad. Now you're spending $240, which is more than the cost of 3 full games a year at $70, and you have to ask that question: is this still the best deal? Is this still like an automatic decision? I thought for the longest time Game Pass as a deal is just too good to even pass up. It's like, it's so good, why would you not be on Game Pass? And now with that new price point, I do wonder if people are going to say, hey, it's just better for me to build my library. It's better for me to establish a library of games. Because if library continuity matters as much as Phil Spencer said it did, and Sarah Bond is talking about backwards compatibility, then I think that's a significant deal. And I know you're talking about how, well, multiplayer's included, Mo. Okay, so? Like, so many people don't play multiplayer games. You stated in the premiere, you said 95% of games need internet. That isn't true. The exact opposite of that is true. The vast majority of games that hit Game Pass are not online games. A lot of them are really great indie titles. You know, a lot of them are really, really fun games that you can play offline. They may offer multiplayer, they may offer co-op, but you don't need online. For the vast majority of games that hit the market, they are not online games. The literal opposite is true of what you claimed. You could easily build a library and never ever feel the need to have internet, never feel the need to have multiplayer. You're like, well, I don't need it. I'm not playing. And you may only play the free-to-play multiplayer games, which then also doesn't require you to pay for Game Pass's multiplayer or PlayStation's multiplayer service. If you play Fortnite or any of the other free games, you don't need to pay for multiplayer. You only need to pay for the multiplayer access if you're playing a multiplayer game that you bought. They made that change in the last couple of years, so I don't agree with your assessment that, like, oh no, Game Pass is still an automatic choice because it includes multiplayer and 95% of games require multiplayer or need multiplayer or online. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's not just a matter of opinion. I think that's factually incorrect. Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming just claimed that Crash Bandicoot Trilogy is coming August the 8th. You need online just to access Game Pass. You don't have to pay for that, though. All this time, you could be paying for the standard Game Pass tier that didn't come with online and be downloading the games. You didn't need online you don't need to pay for Xbox's online service to interact with Game Pass. That's simply not true. 3 games a year, most are COD, Madden, FIFA 2K. These are the 3 games that people buy for $70. I mean, some of the most sold games in the last couple of years, Mo, have been single-player games that don't require online. What you're saying is not correct. You could buy Call of Duty and just play the single-player. You don't have to play online. There are plenty of other games that top the charts that are single-player games. And the most popular multiplayer games are free to play, and then you don't have to pay for online. So if you're gonna run a popularity contest argument, you're gonna have to engage with the fact that you don't need to pay for online for the most popular multiplayer games that are out there. Fortnite, Warzone, Apex. How do you download a game without internet access? Dan, I think we're passing in the night. Mo is arguing that paying for Xbox's internet multiplayer service is included in Ultimate, which he says is required for 95% of games, which is simply untrue. You're talking about internet access. That's not the same thing. You pay for internet. And then if you want to play multiplayer games on your Xbox, you have to pay for the Game Pass tier that comes with that. But you only have to pay for the Game Pass tier that comes with that if you're playing a multiplayer game that's not free. All free-to-play multiplayer games like Fortnite, you do not have to pay anything extra to get on and play. You do not. They made that change in the last couple of years. I forget when exactly that happened in the timeline, but that was a change they made. $10 super chat from Jacob, Bible, Doom, Fable, and COD 2025, not counting delays, is 210, while 1 year of Ultimate is 240. Still a good value. However, as a lifetime Xbox fan, they had quality problems. That's where it gets muddy. Right, if any of those have quality problems, exactly, Jacob. Here's the other question I have for you. What's the difference in just buying them and then you get to keep them? That's the other dilemma that I see with it, is you're spending roughly every 2 years, you're spending almost $500. That's a lot of games that you could be adding to a library. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I simply argued in the video, consumers are going to start to weigh the difference between spending $500 every 2 years or buying games. Like, which do you want to do? Do you want to rent games for $240 a year, or do you want to make a library? Think about how much Xbox fans, I'm one of them, I celebrated backwards compatibility. I celebrated FPS boost in games like Titanfall 2. Think about how great that was when I was able to go and have this huge library of Xbox games that I bought from the 360 era to now just sitting there in my library. That was great. That felt awesome. If you're not adding to a library, then backwards compatibility sort of drifts into the ether of importance, unless, of course, a bunch of backwards compatible games are on Game Pass. Then obviously you could argue that, that still is a value point to you. But everybody argued that against PlayStation and said, oh yeah, not enough is backwards compatible, or you have to stream the backwards compatible games, some of the ones that you own. That's not as good. Since when is renting games a bad thing? I didn't say renting games was a bad thing. I'm saying consumers will compare the two and they will make a judgment as to which they think is best. There will be consumers that conclude $240 a year. I spend roughly $200 a year if I just buy 3 games. They could spend less money and just buy games, especially if they like single player games the most. Like if that's where they really hang out, and maybe they play Warzone or Fortnite with their friends. Like they're like, yeah, I don't need this. This is becoming too expensive. I'm not saying that that's going to happen in droves. I simply said in the video, it's not an automatic decision anymore. It's not an automatic decision. For $10 a month, it was an automatic decision. It was like, oh yeah, Game Pass is the best deal in town. At $20, it changes. I think it's going to change the perception in the consumer's mind. Because every 3 months, they're basically paying for a full game. And you're supposed to be getting one big game per quarter. And right now, that hasn't happened this year. You got Hellblade 2, and that's it. And a lot of people would argue that was a pretty short game. So it's like, you're spending that amount of money, and you haven't even gotten that cadence of games this year. You got that cadence of games last year, but that includes Redfall and Forza Motorsport. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that it isn't good anymore. I'm saying I think consumers are going to start to weigh and say, $240 a year, I could start building a library. I could start buying games, Hang on. Free chat is terrible, ruins the fun. Snipes with a $2 super chat. I'm not sure what you're saying. Free chat is terrible, ruins the fun. Are you talking about my chat? You don't have to pay to chat? We've done that for a long time. I only would ever really feel like I need to turn members only chat on is if we had like thousands of people and it was too hard to read chat. Rich Rod was 17 months in a VIP. Doom and Fable don't come out every year, nor the same year. You can't compare the value to Game Pass value because they're not the same at all. Game Pass is good, but it's simply giving up on console. And that is going to move the number to 11. If you guys have a Member Plus or a VIP and you renew now, we count you in the total. We're already about halfway there to the first 25. Thank you so much. And make sure you guys are smashing that like button. Let's read some of the comments on the video, okay? I appreciate the people who comment on the video. Snipes did a super thanks on my PlayStation 5 Pro video. He said, thanks for keeping it a buck and actually work for your fans and not Twitter like so many frauds out there. Thank you. I'm not sure what you mean, but I appreciate the comment if you enjoy the content that much. Let's see here. Microsoft versus FTC round 2 fight. Yeah, I think the FTC is going to go nowhere. This guy says a new era of trash. Nothing has changed. I don't know, dude. Black Ops 6 coming is pretty big. I think that's pretty big. Obviously, you've got to bump up to Ultimate if you want it or stay, hopefully you stacked enough months on the old tiers. The con lady was right, and the internet was so cruel to that poor woman. I actually agree. I agree, like, that she got ruthlessly attacked and maligned, and all she was trying to do was tell people, like, this isn't going to be good for the consumer, and the results have demonstrated that. I think the results have demonstrated that. I don't think anybody walks away from the Xbox Activision deal and says, you know what? I'm really glad that they did this because now it's more expensive to get day and date, and Ultimate's gone up as well. So yeah, this is a great result. Studios have been closed down as well. Less choice, more money. Yeah, that's exactly what I hoped would come from this. We were promised the opposite, but sure. That argument doesn't make sense. That's like saying I should buy all my movies and shows instead of having a $20 subscription to Max. No, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that somebody right now is going to look at building a library of games, because going back and playing games and digital library continuity and backwards compatibility is a huge important factor in the gaming world. That's something that Phil Spencer spoke to on that Kind of Funny podcast interview that he did. I don't think that's quite the same as you watching movies on Max or Hulu, because I think people are far less likely to go back and be like, oh, I want to rewatch all those videos, all those movies. And guess what? The ones that you do want to rewatch, you tend to buy. I do that. If I know I'm going to watch a Christmas movie every year, let's call it, what's one of the ones that we watch? We watch Elf every year, and White Christmas, and It's a Wonderful Life. I buy things like that because I know I'm going to engage with it regularly. I bought Lost because I know I'm going to watch Lost on a regular basis. My wife actually got me like the collector's edition of all the DVDs. When I know I'm going to be retreading and rewatching movies, I actually do. I buy them because of the very thing that I'm talking about right now. That level of like library continuity, I think, is important. Now, that's me. That might not be you. You might say, no, I just keep the subscription going. I just keep my Max subscription or my Hulu, and I'll just go back and watch the movies on that subscription. Well, I got news for you. A lot of times the movies don't even stay there. They leave or they go to another service. So I think that's a good example of how consumers are going to think differently about this. They're going to think differently about this. They're going to come to different conclusions. That's all I said in the video. I did not say Game Pass suddenly lost its value. I did not say it was a bad deal. All I said was, I think people are going to look at this differently than they used to. Because at $10 a month, it was a no-brainer. It was like literally undeniably a killer deal. It is still a very good deal. But at $240 a year, people are going to start to question. I could buy 3 $70 games for $210, and all the research indicates that the average gamer buys between 1 and 3 games a year. They're not buying 15 games a year. They're buying about 1 to 3, and there's obviously people that go higher than that, sure, but the average gamer is buying 1 to 3. And you could be buying 1 to 3 games a year, building your library, and spending less money. Like, that's the point I'm making. I'm saying there will be people that consider that. There will be people that think this is a better use of my money. Because in 5 years, you now have 7 games in your library that are there. They're yours. On Game Pass, you don't know what you're going to have. You don't know what's going to rotate in and what's going to rotate out. You don't. You don't even know if they're going to hit the cadence that they've promised you, because they promised you a cadence, and for the last 2 years they haven't hit it, or if they have hit it, the quality hasn't really been there. You didn't get a cadence of great games at quality last year every quarter. You didn't. None of us did if we were on Game Pass. That's fair to say. If you look at the review scores of Redfall and Forza Motorsport, you couldn't possibly say, yeah, we got 4 great games at quality last year. No, you got games that weren't even ready to launch. Half the games, Hi-Fi and Starfield, okay, great. Oh, but then the other 2 were not. That's the point. It's like you don't even know. In a buy-to-play market, think about it. You're spending $240 a year hoping that the cadence of games hits as well as the quality. I got to thank a super chat. Hold on. I missed it. Snipe says, not your chat, paying for Xbox Live compared to free online games. Oh, I see what you're saying. I look at it a variety of ways. People are like, you guys are suckers. You pay for online on console, and we don't have to pay because Steam's interface is free. I see both sides. Like PlayStation and Xbox have built an infrastructure with screen sharing and with party invites and with party chat, and all of that uses up time and bandwidth, and it costs money. You don't get that level of quality in Steam. Like, you get a friends list and you can send invites, but you don't get near the amount of features. So I see both sides. Like, I get why the companies charge money. They continue to add more and more social features to those services, and if you like them and you pay for them, great. If you don't, then don't. Like, that's a value decision the consumer has to make. If they're like, I'm not paying for internet, are you kidding me? Somebody else is like, man, I don't care because I get games, I get stuff to play, I get stuff to try out, and then I get all these features as well to interact with my friends. Like, I don't interact with a lot of those social features, but some do. Eugene says, hang on a minute. You guys are putting huge comments in the Discord. Hang on. Eugene says, the people on Game Pass overwhelmingly are people with higher levels of disposable income. These people will spend where it makes the most sense to them. They aren't penny pinching, and if Game Pass becomes much higher, they will put that money into games that they can own. I agree. I genuinely think people are going to start to question that. I do. Zero Steel says, that's kind of sad how Microsoft goes now. They really cashed in with Game Pass, but never even thought once that it is value destructive. Yeah, I mean, the value destruction is going to be less impactful now, though, because they will be selling the games everywhere. I think that hopefully then increases value of the games, because if you want people to buy them, they have to be good. In a buy-to-play market, as I was getting ready to say a little bit ago, in a buy-to-play market, you can wait for reviews, know the game is quality, and then buy it. You don't know the quality that you're getting if you're just like, well, I'm on Game Pass, $240 a year. I hope the games they give me are good. You know, I hope the games they give me are good. Check my last. Hang on a second. Sneaky Wolf says, funny thing about Game Pass is that it has no holding power. I switched from the platform to PlayStation very easily because I had no library. I didn't own anything. Now I'm building a library I have bought and own. Well, and I think this is why they're trying to put Game Pass in more places. I think one of the reasons they want Game Pass on your phone and your TV and the Fire Stick and all of that, because they want you to have more possible points of contact. That makes it harder to cancel. I think that's part of it as well. I don't think they think, oh, we're going to get a bunch of people to sign up for Game Pass brand new through Fire Stick. I mean, maybe, but I think most of what they're trying to do is give Game Pass users more points of contact, so that they can basically say, well, it's really hard to quit. I've got access everywhere. Hilly says, to circle back to all this, it makes this add-on experience a pain to check out, work out, and going up in price. They need to keep it as simple, as it no longer feels like an amazing add-on. I've dropped mine and will likely reduce my daughter's plan to the cheapest plan with multiplayer, as they live in free-to-play and Minecraft. Yeah, they wouldn't need the multiplayer if they play free-to-play games, though. Yeah, you wrote a book in Discord, Hilly. I'm always hesitant to read really long comments, but I'll do it. My 2 cents. I always saw Game Pass as a fantastic additional add-on for me. I, like many, will never move away from a game ownership license model. I'd rather drop out than become a perma game renter. When Game Pass started, I would buy the games I wanted that I know I will enjoy, or things which had taken off and reviewed well with players. I would treat Game Pass as an all-you-can-eat buffet. I would play more stuff outside of my wheelhouse, and it was fun and risk-free. I never did the math, and I think, should I buy this or just hop on Game Pass only? Like I said, it was only an add-on for me. Gaming is a cheap hobby compared to most. However, household budgets always come under pressure. I have a kiddo at university, so I check things more. Disney's gone, Paramount Plus is gone, and now my Game Pass is gone. My issue now is that I dropped the idea of Family Pass and rumors it may come back. I think they messed up changing the tiers around console, PC Core, Ultimate, Cloud only, which has multiplayer. When is the price going up? Bit of a ramble at the end, so I got to stop. I'm having trouble with it. The thing is that I also agree with you. When we covered the Game Pass changes, when they did the thing with Game Pass Core, I went back and watched the video. I was like, this is confusing. I was like, you have all these different tiers. You don't even know where the most value is. Well, I think they want the Ultimate to look like the only one that really is worth choosing. Right? That's what I think they want. I honestly think they want you to look at, Core and Standard and all of that and just be like, oh, just give me Ultimate. I think that's the goal, is just to get everybody on the highest tier. As many people as possible. A 5 spot from Snipes. Thank you again for another super chat. Honestly, the AA titles Game Pass has given me pays for Game Pass for the next 10 years. I think they've been having a very good run of AA games and indies on Game Pass. I don't disagree with you. I would rather pay for those games. That's just how I operate. Right? Like, when I knew that I played Brotato on Game Pass, and then I bought it on PlayStation, because it was like I wanted to play it there as well, because if my kiddos are using the Xbox, and it was $5, and Vampire Survivors I think was also $5. Like, I would just rather buy games like that. I like supporting the devs. I like supporting indie and AA games. So, like, I would rather buy the games. Again, when it was $10 a month, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was just this constant flow of games. But at $20 a month, it's like, I don't know. $20 a month? We're 7 months, we're almost 8 months into the year, and your only major first-party game was Hellblade 2. Everything else were smaller games that you likely, or older games, that you could have bought on sale or bought at a lower price. Like, it doesn't, to me, I don't think it's to me, I think the value is going down. That doesn't mean that it's automatically going down for everybody, but for me personally, it is. It's going down. The main reason I would keep it now is because it's a great way for my kids to sample games. But I might just start directing them to PS Plus to be like, well, we play more over here. I'm building a library over here. I'm at the premium, so I can use the trials. We've used the game trials for Friday nights when it's like, oh, we want to play this goofy, silly game that I probably would never buy, but I can try it out for 2 hours and show it to you guys, like, and we can have fun. So to me, I feel like the value's going down with the price going up. Can you straightforward compare Game Pass cost to outright purchases? Even if you buy your games, you're still paying much of the subscription cost for online multiplayer. I now know that's a talking point somewhere. Somebody did that in a video or a podcast, because Mo said the same thing, and now so are you. So what you guys are doing is you're using an argument that somebody else must have made. So I'm going to engage with the argument, okay? That argument presumes that everybody's paying for multiplayer. If everybody was playing for multiplayer, or the vast majority were playing for multiplayer, then everybody with an Xbox would have that subscription tier. And they don't. A ton of people are not paying. A ton of people don't have Game Pass. Game Pass plateaued. And the reason it did is because there's tons of people that don't need online multiplayer. They can play single-player games. Most of the games I purchased this year, I did not need multiplayer for. I didn't need online for. Ronin, Stellar Blade, Hellblade 2. These are all games that I could play. Prince of Persia, Helldivers 2 I needed online for. I haven't needed it for the other games. Like, you can, most of the games that I have played, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, like, I don't need multiplayer. I don't need to pay for multiplayer for most of the library, you know. And a lot of the popular games that have sold, a lot of the popular games that have won Game Awards in the last couple of years have been single-player games. Or games you can play, they might have online, but you don't have to play online. I wasn't repeating anyone else's argument. It's just consideration that occurs to me as I evaluate the Game Pass for myself. I don't know. When everybody first runs to the same thing and two people are saying the same thing, that always makes me suspicious. It's like, who said this? Who's assuming that everybody's paying for multiplayer? If everybody was paying for multiplayer, you'd have way more people on Game Pass. You would. When they added Game Pass Core to the total, you would have added more than 9 million people. If the vast majority of people were paying for online, then you would have a way higher amount of people on the Game Pass subscription tiers that offer it. Also, the question would be, how many people all this time have been on the standard tier of Game Pass that doesn't include multiplayer? They just did it for the games. That's the other question you have to ask. How many people were on that tier? What percentage of Game Pass subscribers were on the tier that was primarily concerned with getting games every month and not multiplayer? You have to ask that question, because if that's a substantive amount of people, those are the people I'm talking about. If you've been paying for Ultimate and you feel like you're getting a good deal and you need the multiplayer, then what I'm saying isn't going to land on you, because you're like, no, this is still an amazing deal. And you're correct. It is still an amazing deal for you. I'm saying there are plenty of people that might have been at the $10 tier. They don't need multiplayer. They just liked getting free games every month. And they're like, wait, what? Going forward, if my subscription lapses or I don't have enough months stacked out, I'm eventually going to have to be at a $20 Ultimate subscription to continue to get these games every month, to get day and date on the big titles. Oh, but you're going to throw in multiplayer. They might not care. Game Pass giving perks to COD 6 is huge. I said in a Game Pass video a long time ago they needed to do that. It was like, why aren't you giving people like a monthly allotment of stuff in Halo? As a subscriber to Game Pass, you instantly gain access to the classic Woods operator skin and have access to unlock the zombie Woods and number Woods skins. Yeah, that 100% I think is a good idea. It's like, if you want people on Game Pass, I think you need to start giving, I started saying, like, give them more than just games. Give them, like, currency in Halo Infinite. So then now they're like, oh, the game that I play, it benefits from me being on Game Pass. Snipes at the 5 spot says, what about the day and date third-party full access games I would never buy and enjoy on my subscription? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What about all the day and date third-party full access games I would never buy and enjoy on my subscription? Right. I guess I would ask, are you completing those games? Are you actually finishing them, or are you just playing them for, an hour and then putting them down? There are people that don't engage with games that way. They like to buy games, they like to complete games, and they like to build a library. Yeah, I think the problem with what you're doing is you're arguing against an absolute, and I'm not arguing for an absolute. You're arguing and somewhat almost passively strawmanning. You're arguing as if I'm saying Game Pass isn't worth it anymore. I haven't said that once today. I've said there will be people that argue and think and internally debate and say, I'm going to get more value out of buying games. I'm going to get more value out of spending $200-something a year, $200+ a year on buying games and adding them to my library. You have to admit that there's people that are going to conclude that. You're arguing for an absolute, as if nobody's going to come to that conclusion. No one's going to think that way. No one's going to do that. Well, I think that there's plenty of people right now proving that wrong, because they are at the tier of Game Pass that doesn't come with multiplayer and just gets free games every month. That's all that matters to them. And that is going away in the future. That tier is gone. And if you want day and date, you're going to have to bump up to Ultimate. And then the new standard tier doesn't get that. It's basically a different, it's almost like core. It's going to be like, well, there's going to be a base of games, and you get multiplayer added in. It's like, well, what if you didn't want multiplayer? Like, you're adding a value point that doesn't matter to a lot of people, because plenty of people were choosing an option that didn't include it. That's the point. It's like, people are going to consider and weigh and make a decision. I think they've made Game Pass Ultimate the de facto, and I think a lot of people will say, well, that's too steep, I don't want to pay that. A 5 spot from Sneaky Wolf says, literally the only Xbox first party game to drop in 24 doesn't require online. Yeah, none of them required it, right? It was optional. You could play Redfall offline, right? Starfield, obviously. That one's an obvious. Hi-Fi, yes. And then Forza Motorsport. Do you need online to play Forza Motorsport? You can just play it offline, can you not? It has online options, but I don't think you have to have online to play it, or multiplayer. The biggest games of the year tend to not release on Game Pass or on other platforms. That would be another thing to consider, is if some of the biggest games to hit Game Pass are also landing on other platforms, the exclusivity goes away. That can hurt the novelty as well, I think. I'm not saying it does, I'm saying it could. In somebody's mind, they could say, yeah, I don't think this is as valuable anymore, because I can just go somewhere else and buy the game if I want. Again, there are going to be people that consider, like, increasing their library makes more sense. Eventually, the price hits a point where it's no longer a convenience, says Eugene. The quote here, the number one reason for mid or high income players when it comes to subscribing to a service is the convenience of trying out new games instead of buying them individually. 35% of mid-income players and 38% of high-income players cite convenience as a motivator versus 30% for low income. So a big motivating factor here is convenience, and I agree. I think eventually people are going to say, this isn't convenient enough, or this isn't worth just paying for convenience. You know, think about it like this. If many people, according to that stat that Eugene just cited, that means a lot of people are like, this is great because I can try games. Remember when I said bring back the days of like Xbox Arcade where you could play demos? I loved that. Xbox 360 era, my wife and I were always trying out demos, always. And then we bought games. There was a game called Crimson Alliance that we played and we loved. It was like a dungeon crawler, and we ended up buying it because we played the demo and we liked the demo. Kiri86 with 2 months. I'm canceling PC Game Pass because even at 20% more per month, it's not worth it for me to just churn in and out whenever I want to play something. That's the other thing to point out. Thank you, Kiri, for 2 months of memberships, by the way. That's the other thing to point out, is that a lot of the people that have been churning and burning, it's now harder to do that because if you want to churn and burn for a day-and-date game, you got to pay $20. I think that's another reason that Xbox did this, by the way. I think there are people that every time a big game would come out, they would churn and burn. They would sign up, play the game, cancel. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, it's going to cost more money. It's not going to be $10 or $11. It's going to be $20. They're making it more painful for you to do that. Because they're happy if you don't do that and buy the game. They're perfectly fine with that. Right? If you're motivated to say, well, $20, for goodness sakes, I might as well buy the game at this point, because if I forget to cancel, I'm out $40, right? Like, you might as well just buy the game at full price and you can keep it for as long as you want instead. So I think they're trying to make it harder to churn and burn because I think those stats hurt them. They're like, we don't want that. Cell phone companies hate that too. They hate when churn rates get too high, when people, cancel their service and go to the competitor. Ben says, I think PC Game Pass is the one tier I may keep because I barely turn on my Series X anymore. Everything I want runs at 30. Another $5 super chat tip from Snipe says, I'm not trying to argue with you, just Game Pass has turned me from a casual gamer to a hardcore gamer and I play almost everything now. Right. I was getting the impression from your comments, Snipes, that like you were misinterpreting what I was saying. I might have misunderstood. It seemed like you were interpreting my statements as like, oh yeah, Game Pass isn't worth it anymore, and you're like, oh no, Game Pass is worth it, and I'm like, I think it is worth it to people that were already on Ultimate. I think everybody else is going to consider what they want to do going forward. If they signed up for Game Pass every time a big game came out and canceled, they're going to consider what they do going forward now that it's more expensive to do that. If they've been hanging out on the standard tier for a really long time and they let it lapse or they didn't stack enough months or years, eventually they will not be able to stay on that tier. They'll get rolled off of it. They're only going to let you stay on that tier for as long as you stacked. And then if you roll off, I think this time next year they'll push people off of it if you haven't stacked. Like if you're paying month to month and you haven't stacked. Like, if you've paid out, you're good for however long you paid out for. I think everybody else a year from now just gets pushed off of the tier, and they're just going to push you on to the other standard tier and just tell you that that's what's happening. You'll be like, your tier is deprecated to either sign up for this or Ultimate. Another comment on the video, Zinto says, Game Pass price is reaching the tipping point for me. Not sure if I would stay subbed if they do any other price hike, especially so soon as they did this one. Yep. A lot of people are saying this. Like, I think that's evidence right there of what I've been saying is like, listen, I'm not saying it's been completely devalued, but a lot of people are going to come to that conclusion that this isn't worth it anymore. Henry Heck says, I give it to him. Xbox played their hand masterfully, but I will say I don't see people who aren't gamers currently jumping into the servers, even if it doesn't require a console. I think the cloud and Fire Stick moves are more for current Xbox ecosystem. Agreed about Fire Stick and cloud. I agree with you. I said that. It's like I absolutely do not think that they are trying to get a bunch of new people. Like, if you don't play games right now, I don't think you're going to be like, oh, I can play Call of Duty through a Fire Stick. Oh, I think I'm going to start playing video games now. I don't think so. Now, again, as I said in the video, I think you could be like, hey, congrats on your TV purchase. It comes with a complimentary month of Game Pass and Cloud Gaming or whatever they call it, right? Cloud Gaming, Game Pass. And they would have titles on there like Flight Sim. Because that's just like, oh, that's so beautiful and that's so cool. It's so casual. Maybe Forza Motorsport. People like cars. Driving games are pretty accessible, right? They're not insanely difficult. People might just like holding down the trigger, and driving around the track. But I don't think they're going to be like, hey, person who doesn't currently play video games, have a gaming system or a PC to play games on, do you want to play Call of Duty? Do you want to play Starfield? I don't think that those people are ripe for the harvest. I don't think those people are going to say, oh yeah, I can't wait to start playing video games now that I can do it through the cloud. You know what I mean? I think the access point is there for potential new customers, but it's primarily there for existing customers to be like, I have Game Pass everywhere now. I can play all throughout my house. I can take it with me on the road. COD isn't available on the Fire Stick. I was just imagining if it was, Brian M. I wasn't saying it was. I was saying if they were attempting to use Call of Duty or Starfield. I mean, they did. They used Starfield in the one advertisement for the Samsung TV. I think they'd be better off if you're trying to get non-gamers to do that, to like use their Fire Stick or use your Samsung TV. I think they'd be better off with games like Flight Sim, because I think that's more intriguing to somebody who doesn't really play games. Or like a Forza Horizon. I think, oh, look at those cars. Those cars are cool. Like a guy that's really into cars but not really a gamer, he might say, oh, I want to take that. I want to try that out. That looks like it would be fun. I don't think you can use traditional video games to get more people in. And again, I think it's more for people who already have Game Pass, so they can just play in more places. Makes it really hard to leave, doesn't it? It's like when the internet company wants you to get a phone or television package. It makes it hard to leave because you have more stuff with them. Game Pass is great for the kids. Mine play all the different games for every 5 minutes, so there's be a library of games for them to choose from is ideal. I wonder whether the changes Xbox is implementing are targeting different demographics. But I'm slowly getting desensitized to it. Price hikes always suck. Right, yeah, but you're slowly getting desensitized to it. I definitely keep Game Pass for the kids. I do. I definitely keep Game Pass for the kids. It's helpful for that. But it's getting to a point where it's like, I don't know, dude, maybe not. It might be time to consider, just telling them, no, I'm going to read reviews and you can watch a trailer and then I'll just buy you a game. $20 a month. I mean, again, that's just with all these other sub-services going up, we're cutting some of them. We're canceling some of them. Because if we're not using it enough to warrant the price, it gets cut. Pixel said, being a person who collects physical media like physical video games and movies, nothing about Game Pass interests me. I get it. I do. I think there's a lot of folks in that category. They're like, look, man, I like to collect or buy, or they like have all their jewel cases lined on a bookshelf. I think that's going to be very, very common response to a lot of this. The key word you say all the time is try this game. Try is for a while, not permanent. I'm not sure what you mean, though. Are you saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing? Some people would say that's a good thing. I can try all these games. Somebody else might say that's not really a good thing. You're not really playing anything. You're constantly just sampling. You'd be better off waiting for reviews and just buying games if it's cheaper. Like if I hand you $210 a year and I say you can spend this any way you want. Well, let's just say $250. I hand you $250 a year and I say this is your allotment to buy to spend on video games and gaming for the year. What you might say, okay, what am I going to get the most out of here? You might conclude Game Pass Ultimate, $240, and then I've got $10 for microtransactions, right? Somebody else might say $250 would go a long way. I could buy one or two full price games. That would get me to $140. And then they'd be like, I still have over $100 left. Maybe I could buy some some AA games, some indies, maybe some microtransactions. The average person buys 1 to 3 full price games a year. So it's like that $250 could go a long way if you were more choosy and like adding to a library. Or you could totally take the line of thinking that I like sampling lots of games. I like trying lots of games. Game Pass Ultimate's a no-brainer. there's always a tipping point when something gets too expensive. That's just the point that I've been trying to make, is that there's going to be people that say, you've passed over. This is now, I can save money by canceling, and then I can just buy games more sporadically. Like Netflix, try a bunch of movies, you stop 1/10 in. I think I've gotten pretty good on Netflix, picking movies that I know that I'll enjoy. They also do a pretty good job of like telling you if it's a match for you, you know. I think they've gotten pretty good at that. Not all the time, obviously. It's not perfect, but Elemental Hero says, I think Xbox has hurt themselves with this Fire Stick. Amazon usually has new shows or movies, and the person wants to watch the new stuff, and it hurts that person. How has Xbox on the Fire Stick? Your comment makes no sense. I'm sorry. I don't understand what you're saying. How have they hurt themselves? And your argument to support it is Amazon usually has new shows or movies, and the person wants to watch the new stuff, and it hurts the person. How has Xbox on the Fire Stick? That sentence structure there's no flow to it. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Getting Game Pass, like anyone tries out all 500 games, most will try 10 to 20. 240 for that? No thanks. Somebody will think differently than you, Hotshot. They'll be like, 240 is a bargain. You know? This guy, Wesley Mitchell says, I don't understand. Xbox lets you buy the game or do Game Pass. This is a non-issue unless they gatekeep things that can only be paid for on Game Pass. Let them find a sweet spot for Game Pass and people who want to buy. Where did I say this was an issue? I said customers would land on either side. Where did I say there was an issue? I didn't say there was an issue. I said customers are going to land on either side of the issue. They're going to on either side of the service, I'm sorry. They're either going to land on the side that says it's still valuable, or they're going to land on the other side. They're going to say, I want to start building a library. My money's better spent doing that. $240 a year I'm going to spend buying games. I didn't say there was an issue. I said that with the price change, moving day and date to Ultimate only and PC, there are people that are going to decide that this isn't worth it anymore. Yo, what's good, Jez? He says, Microsoft also said last year to the CMA that increasing the prices would increase churn, which is counter to why they wanted the merger. Now they're okay with churn. Well, here's what they would likely say. Bushin Ryu Cat with a $2 super chat tip. Will Xbox split story and multiplayer modes for COD on Fire Stick? I have no idea. So here's what they would likely say, Jez. They would likely say that all sub-services are increasing in price as a matter of inflation, right? And they would say that that's part of the evolution of a subservice. Is that you get to a point where you just start charging more money because you're like, listen, we have to. We've hit saturation, you know, market's slowing down, and you have to maximize the amount of money you can make from your subservice. They would likely make some type of an argument like that. They would say, listen, the market's demonstrating right now that this is what everybody is doing. And then they would probably say, we're trying to add more to Game Pass Ultimate to essentially offset that, to give more value to the customer. As they argued, oh, we added multiplayer to the new, more expensive standard version. And I was like, multiplayer was available on Game Pass Core and it was cheaper, so that logic doesn't track, but, you know, corporate doublespeak for the win, I guess. Renting games and stop paying, you don't own anything. Empty SSD after paying. Yo, Bushin Ryu Cat gifts a member and takes us to 12, halfway to 25. Every time you guys gift a member, it increases the goal, gets us a little bit closer. You guys are going to you're gonna let Creature off the hook. You can make him tune in. You can make him show up on Friday night and play Overcooked with me and my wife on Friday night. It ain't happening. We're too far behind now. You need basically 160 today and the next 2 days. The absolute train has stopped. So I'm not gonna force and lower goals anymore. If we don't hit them, we don't do the things. Whether it's a rage game, scary game, creature game, or any of the fun stuff that we've been doing. We'll still stream on Friday night, but y'all are going to let Creature off the hook. I think the Game Pass price is going to keep jumping frequently because they're trying to get back to zero financially. It's a massive money sink for Microsoft. And Jez says, I think the whole increase is a quick get for COD in Game Pass money. Oh, well, they certainly timed it with Call of Duty. It's undeniable that that's the timing. They did this in September and then Call of Duty drops in October. Like, come on. They knew that if they kept things as it was, there would be a bunch of people that would sign up for Game Pass in October and cancel a month or two later. They knew people were going to do that. And Delta Bosses says, come on, many hands make light work. He says, let's hit the goal. He drops a 5 bomb on the chat and takes us to 17. You guys could do it. You've done crazier things. You're just going to have to kick it into high gear if you want that to happen. You guys are going to have to dig deep. Elemental Hero says, what I mean is Amazon usually has new shows and movies. If a person wants to watch them, the Xbox user is tying up that Fire Stick for that person who wants to watch the movies and shows. Okay, I now understand your point. I don't think it's a very good point because Xbox is not hurting themselves by being on the Fire Stick because, like, oh, if somebody wants to watch a new show, the Fire Stick's now tied up with gaming. That doesn't translate into, oh yeah, that hurts Xbox. That doesn't hurt Xbox. It's just another way for you to play. Homie, you could say the same thing about the television in the home, brother. Every time there's a new show on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Max, any of the TV services, well, people are going to want to watch, those TV shows, so the TV's going to be tied up and people won't be able to play their games. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think somebody wanting to watch a TV show that's new or a movie that's new is hurting Xbox. It's just one more access point for somebody to engage with Game Pass. So that way, again, I think it's more for existing consumers. We consume movies and games in totally different ways. They aren't comparable. I think what he's saying, if I try to argue for his position as best as I can, Eugene, what he's attempting to say is aligning a gaming subscription on a Fire Stick, which is primarily used for TV and movies, is a waste. That's just harmful. Why do that? You're adding a Game Pass cloud subscription to a device that will primarily be tied up with TV shows and movies. I think that's what he's trying to argue. I don't think that hurts Xbox. I think it creates an image in the market that Xbox is everywhere. They're on Fire Sticks, they're on smart TVs, they're going to be on mobile soon, right? I don't think it harms them. I think what he's saying, I understand it. I don't think it makes it's not a very compelling argument to say, oh yeah, that's hurting Xbox to do that. I don't think so. Now, you could argue that maybe it's wasteful, but again, I think the move is to say, we're everywhere. Do you have a Fire Stick? Do you have a smart TV? You have a cell phone? Yeah, we're there. You can engage with our stuff there. That's a major assumption. My TV is primarily used for gaming. Okay, he's talking specifically about the Fire Stick, Eugene. The Fire Stick's primary function for people is TV shows and movies. Like, if you go buy a Fire Stick, that's primarily what you're buying it for, not the TV. I mean, that's obviously you're plugging into the TV. But you see my point? That's the point I think he's trying to make is you just aligned your gaming service with a device that's primarily designed for TV shows and movies. I think that's what he's attempting to say. So, and I agree with you. A lot of people don't use their TVs for shows and movies. They primarily use their TVs for gaming. I don't think you're incorrect in saying that, but I don't think that's necessarily pushing back on what he's saying either. I think he's making a rather odd point. I don't think it's a very compelling point. No, Lono, it's no console required. Well, I actually don't think the no console required is this big smoking gun anymore. I mean, they said it for Starfield on that Samsung TV advertisement, and I don't think that that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're saying that. They're deprioritizing the consoles. It's like, I mean, they are, but they're also saying, listen, as a brand, we want to be in more places. This is just part of it. Mr. Grimm with the $5 Super Chat tip says, as long as there are ISPs capping data and throttling internet speeds, cloud gaming will have trouble becoming mainstream. Thank you for the $5. I agree with you, Grim. I also think, hey, you were trying to say that multiple times in chat. I'm sorry. I don't want you guys to ever feel like you have to super chat to get my attention. Just continue to try to say it. I genuinely do try to engage with everybody. I want to acknowledge that you did put that in chat a couple of times. I was intending to read it, and it just got pushed, or I read something else. But to engage with what you're saying, I agree with you. I think it's worse than that, though. I think you're only talking about one side of the problematic coin. Yeah, they're data capping and throttling. What about the infrastructure that just kind of sucks and is old and is oversold and oversaturated? I mean, that's a greater problem, right? Guys, make sure and take a quick second. There's a ton of you here. Thanks for the strong turnout. Make sure and smash the like button. Let's try to get 200 likes on the video. Gamepass is definitely worth it still. I think it's definitely still worth it to certain people. Yes. Spam chat until Lono responds. Well, don't spam, but you can certainly copy and paste your comment every once in a while to ensure that I have seen it. Like, don't be obnoxious, but I don't mind when people do that. I don't. If it's been a couple of minutes, your chat message is no longer in chat and you want to try again, that's totally fine. That is. Dumpy Koala with a 5 bomb takes us to 22. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, a member train of 5 bombs would get us there really quickly. You guys do not be intimidated by the guys that drop 10 and 20 bombs, man. Those singles and those 5 bombs, they add up. Yes, the infrastructure also sucks. I think that's actually that's the bigger barrier. I do. I think the bigger barrier of cloud gaming is the infrastructure. You can have the greatest cloud, services and greatest games that are ever made on the planet. But if my internet in my neighborhood sucks, it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. I think that's the problem. I think that is always going to be the problem. 2Spot from Snipes. Honestly, appreciate your engagement with your fans. I thank you very much. Thank you. Lone Wolf with the gifted member. Thank you so much, taking us to 23. Listen, we've said this a lot, and this isn't meant to be cheesy or hokey. This channel is sponsored by you. When you're here and you're gifting members and you're maintaining your membership or you're upgrading your membership, that's how I'm able to do this full time. This is not a very large channel. We're on the cusp of 40,000 subs. That's awesome. That's not a full-time channel. We do this full-time because of you guys. Thank you, Lone Wolf. He slow walks it all the way to 25. There it is. I now owe you guys 5 members. Every 25, I give 5 back. Make sure you put your message in all caps. And Lone Wolf's also going to be the agent of chaos. He walks it past 25 and puts us on the road to the next milestone. Let me gift the 5 that I owe you guys. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm not trying to be corny. Like, I'm not doing a bunch of sponsorships. I'm not big enough to get sponsorships and sponsored segments, right? We're not some big high viewership channel. I do this full time and provide for my family because you guys are basically the ones that sponsor the channel, and I mean that. Now, if you're like, hey, I feel bad, I can't afford a membership, that's okay. Hit like, chat, leave comments, watch the videos. That supports the channel as well. That helps us meet new people, and the more often you're here, the more likely you're going to get a membership. Some of our infrastructure in the UK is older than the actual USA. Right. I mean, listen, dude, if you want to send a little telegram, you're like, tick, 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 like, I mean, that'll really get your internet speed up, just plug into that. That'll really help. Here comes the subtrain. We'll see, Hattigan. We'll see. We get on a tear sometimes, and it's really wild. We do. We get on a little member tear, and it kind of takes over the chat. It happens from time to time. Only about 70% of Americans have internet, said Son of Asgard. That doesn't mean that they all have good internet. My internet's very good, but I'll tell you what, it's not consistent. Now, my AT&T is consistent. That's what I choose to stream on. I have the rest of the house on cable, so they don't mess with the internet when I'm streaming. And I got to tell you, the cable's very inconsistent. It's why I don't stream on it. My cable internet is about 3 times faster than my AT&T, but I don't stream on it because it's inconsistent. I drop frames and the bitrate fluctuates too much. Right? Do I want to play cloud gaming on that? An oversold cable network where, you know, the internet speeds go from like, hey, it's great, down. Oh, it's back to normal, down. It's real quick. You know, real quick little blips. But that's just enough to ruin your experience if you're you know, trying to stream or trying to play a game over the cloud. And guess what? I don't have any control over that. I don't. There's no fiber in my neighborhood. There was supposed to be a 5-year build order for fiber. I was told that 4 years ago. Well, I don't have it. Not here. It's not. It's barely anywhere in the city. So I don't have any control. So I could be sitting here saying, hey, man, I would love to play cloud gaming. Cloud gaming sounds awesome. But my internet is what's available. That's all I have. Got to get off AT&T? No, my AT&T is very stable. But it's not fiber. You know, you guys are talking like, oh man, you're on cable. Oh, you got to get off cable. You got to get off AT&T. What planet do you live on? I don't have choice. We don't have choice as consumers in this realm. We don't. Let me tell you what's wrong. AT&T. No, AT&T has been the more reliable service that I've had in the 10 years that I've streamed. If you're close enough to the node and you get a tech that knows what they're doing to make sure they check the line and everything for noise and everything else, they finally got me straightened out. I haven't had a problem in the 4 years I've streamed here, and then in the 6 years I streamed at my old place, I was on AT&T. But I don't have any choice in the matter. I'm not like, oh, I don't like your service, I'm going to get somebody else. That's all you get. All you get is either AT&T or the cable, whatever's available on the pole. You can't just like call up another internet company and be like, hey, can I get your service? William with a gifted member. Thank you so much, Will. Broke Boy Lewis taking us to 27 members on the day. Thank you so much. All you guys that cheered for the consolidation in the Xbox Activision deal, part of the reason we're in this situation with internet is because people thought consolidation of the internet companies would be really good. Where's all that fiber they were supposed to build us like, I don't know, what was it, 14 years ago they promised to do that? Isn't consolidation great for the consumer as we spend more and get less choice? Huh. Sounds awfully familiar to what's going on with Game Pass, right? Sounds awfully familiar to what's going to happen when all these television subservices start combining. You're going to lose choice and spend more. Yippee frickin' skippy. The service that I had in Tulsa, it sucked, and I moved to a small town about 40 minutes away. They actually had fiber. Still can't believe it. $100 a month. I'm messing low to the internet situation sucks. I work for T-Mobile, so I'm coming at it from a mobile perspective. I guess my 5G experience is why I promote it. You would never want to stream on 5G, homie. Never. You would never want to stream on a cell phone connection. I know people do it, but you wouldn't want to do it the way that I do it. You wouldn't want to sit down with like, you know, high bit rate, high quality image, high quality microphone and stream on a mobile connection. The bit rate would fluctuate so much. You would drop frames constantly. Now, people do it on their phones because there's a general acceptance that like a phone stream is going to, you know, not look great. And every once in a while, they're going to like freeze and skip around, or the broadcast will just stop and it'll pick right back up. Consolidated then literally stole billions of our tax dollars to build infrastructure they never built, and then they pocketed instead. Yeah. The internet companies literally stole from the American people. Like, I'm not sure why nothing's been done. Maybe because they lobby so hard that the politicians won't cross them. Probably that, you know. There you go. What a great not broken system. Here's a bunch of money. Make the infrastructure better. We're just going to keep it, you know. We're going to, we're going to sue you. We're going to investigate you. It'd be a shame if you didn't get all that great money from us because, I mean, you know, a lot of you guys got to get reelected, and, it just would be a shame if we suddenly weren't doing that. They won't cross the internet companies. They're too big. They're all too big. You'd smoke your phone. Yeah, it's just like, absolutely smoking. It's like the internet's not fast enough. Oh, you didn't like my tweet, Hilly? Not posting this, but I need you to hear me. You shut your mouth. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't talk about a lot of politics, but I just have to get this off my chest. Sekiro's better than Elden Ring. Oh, man. Will Broke Boy Lewis with an entire year of memberships. Don't understand why people think new ways to access games is bad. Do I think Cloud on Fire Stick will boost numbers? No, but it's another way to play. I don't necessarily know if anybody's saying it's bad. Well, I mean, the one person in chat was saying that it was bad. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's another step for Xbox to be everywhere. You know, that's mainly what they're trying to do. I think they're both trying to create an image. Oh, I've not been running the scene switcher timer. I think they're trying to create an image, but I also think that they're trying to make it easier for people to engage. And a 10 bomb from Therapy Quantified. He says, come on, man. Let's get these goals. We can do it. You guys got to start tag teaming and helping these guys out. They're bringing the heat. Thank you so much, Therapy Quantified. Yeah, ADJC. Yeah, Hilly's using our catchphrase for you. So, what's going on with Light No Fire when we get it? I think it's they're going to do something probably with No Man's Sky. You know, that's what I think. I think they'll do some kind of a ARG or something. Kat commented on the video. Great video, Reforge. I do not have an Xbox, but I found this piece very informative. Makes you stop and think about the future of gaming and what it could be like in 15 years. Well done. Oh my gosh. I'm typing on the wrong keyboard. Thank you, Kat. You're the best. That would have been bad. I just randomly stopped the stream or something, hitting the wrong keys on the keyboard. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a decent comment about Star Wars Outlaws. I smell last-minute strict corporate orders, but our game must be fully compatible to our oldest ancient previous-gen consoles too. Yeah, maybe. You know, maybe that is what's going on with Star Wars Outlaws, because they said that Jedi Survivor was going to be coming to old gen, so maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they're making those plans. Don't be surprised if the World's Part 3 update is the release of Light No Fire. I think it's tied to the World stuff. I do, Dave. Yo, what's good, Kingslayer? I don't think it's bad, but the Game Pass experience on the TV app was so bad, I actually think it will turn people off. I mean, I'll agree with that putting Game Pass on other places is bad if it's a bad experience, if it makes people think that the service is bad. I agree with you there. That's why I always said trying to get new people into gaming with cloud is extremely risky. If you don't play games, if you're not familiar with them, let's say all you ever do on your TV is watch Netflix, and all of a sudden that you see this thing, you're like, oh, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try out this Game Pass thing. They have a free trial right now. If you do that and it's a really bad experience, if it's laggy and you have no idea why, you don't know. You're not going to be like, oh, well, maybe they're having some trouble. You're going to be like, that sucks. And then you're just not going to go back. If you're a gamer and you use your smart TV or your Fire Stick and there's some lag, you understand what's going on. You're like, yeah, it's cloud gaming. It's going to be inconsistent sometimes. You'll kind of grin and bear it because you have an understanding of what's happening. But somebody who's not a gamer isn't going to know what's going on. They're going to be like, it's bad. I'm not doing that again. Like, as an example, if somebody said, hey, you know, we're not Netflix, I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to make up a name for a video streaming company, and I almost said Hotflix, and I'm like, that sounds bad. We're not Netflix, we're Bestflix. And we have a free trial right now. And if you downloaded their app and you went to watch their movies and shows and it was buffering and the quality kept going down because it was like getting pixelated and then it was clear and then it wasn't and then it buffered, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to sign up for that service. You would have the same low level of tolerance because you would just be like, I don't know what's going on. You're like, something's wrong. If you're not into gaming and you decide to try out gaming through a cloud service, man, it better be a really, really good connection, because if not, you're going to just interpret that as this isn't good. You're just going to interpret it as this sucks. This isn't run well. No? I'm a gamer, and if I see it lag or have significant delay, I'm done. Well, no, yeah, even as a gamer. Even as a gamer, I think it's totally fair to, as a gamer, say, like, I'm not going to put up with it. What do you think a non-gamer is going to say? Hotflix is not only bad, it's taken. Don't go there. Don't go there. I'm not promoting them. I'm not endorsing them. I was just trying to think of a random made-up name for, a streaming company. I was going to sign up for Bestflix, and now I'm turned. What makes it the best flicks? That's right. That's right. Microsoft should adjust the price for cloud only, but the thing is, cloud's expensive to run. That's an excellent point, because in the article from Windows Central, he was like, it'll be a lower cost, which I agree. That's probably very likely that it would be a lower cost. But what do you do if it is, like you're saying, what do you do if it's expensive to service cloud? You can't have people signing up for that and just chilling at like a $5 sub or whatever the case may be. Yeah, Lono's new sponsor. Yeah, that's my new sponsor. Call it Scorn. Yeah, call it Scorn Hub. There you go. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Yeah, Netflix. Yeah. That's what we need. We need Netflix. No fricks given. My issues with cloud have been have been skips and lag. I always have been more surprised at low latency. The response time is quick, but the skips happen. Yeah, I think I could agree with you. I think my experience has been somewhat similar. Because the latency has been like, hey, that's pretty good, but the skips definitely happen. I mean, that whenever I play on my PlayStation Portal and I'm like out of the house, not in the house, if I'm not on the same network, I have a similar experience. I'm like, wow, there's like almost no latency. You know. Hang on, I'm just reading something. I think Rise of the Ronin demo is out now. Rise of the Ronin's a good example of a game that I felt like was good, but the performance, I think, did hurt the experience. You know. You get in the open world, a lot of skipping. If you go into an area and like the house is on fire or there's environmental, effects and stuff going on, it's very inconsistent performance. Yeah. It's kind of a bummer. Japan has fiber optic cables all over the place and still plenty of telephone cables too. How do they find the time and money to do it? I mean, some of it depends on when when you urbanized and when sections of the country urbanized, we urbanized very early as a country. That's actually why our public transport is terrible. We don't have good train systems. It's why our bridges are terrible and falling down. It's why our internet infrastructure is terrible. We urbanized early, which means all of the infrastructure for the internet's attached to like copper telephone lines. So you got to go in, every city, every suburb, every rural environment is different. So like you're having to go into people's backyards, and how many millions of miles of cable do you have to push? It's difficult. Subway systems, train systems, they're all bad here because they're old. It's like they were amazing when they came out, but it's 2024. Yeah, our electrical grid, it's all bad. It's not that it's bad because it was designed poorly. It's bad because it's all old. If you right now went into a part of the world that was not urbanized and you brought in teams to urbanize and to set up public transit, electrical grid, internet grid buildings, it would all be better than what we have because of just how advanced everything is, how better everything is now. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to qualify that now, Neffits. Yes, it's not that they're terrible; it's that they're old. So they appear to be terrible because with age, they become pretty bad. So, not an easy fix. It's expensive and painful and slow to go in and try to change all the infrastructure, whether it's the electric. Some cities are having issues with plumbing as well. Electric, internet, plumbing, all those things need a lot of work. So, I'm not going to get into that with you, Hadigan, because what you're saying is you're not refuting what I'm saying. You're not refuting anything I just said. The issues with our grid, the issues with the electrical grid and internet and public transit is that they're old. You want to start pointing fingers and saying, well, if they did this or they did that, or if that side did this, I'm not interested in having that discussion with you. Makes sense to think that we're the ones who made power and cables all possible, and yet we suck at optimizing power. It's kind of like anything, right? When you bought the very, very first iPhone, and then 4 years later, the iPhone was way better, right? Early adoption is always going to be not as good as the iterations that follow. The difficulty is that these things they're very foundational. It's not like you can just swap them out. Yeah, just run better cable. Sure, easier said than done, Just bury the electrical grid. Yeah, sure. Just put fiber everywhere. Can I talk about the PS5 Pro? You're going to buy it when it's out. I did a show and an upload about it, so if you want to know what I think or you want to know the info on it, I've got a video on the channel right now about PS5 Pro confirmed if you want to go watch it. I'm not going to retread all that information here right now when we're having a discussion about Game Pass and cloud gaming and, all the different facets that go into that. It's just not relevant, I appreciate your interest. I appreciate you coming to me for information, but it's not what we're talking about right now. So, guys, take a quick second. We've been streaming for a little over an hour. If you've been enjoying the live show, smash that like button. Let's get the like count to 300. That would be very, very helpful. It'll help more people find this channel. And we also are running a special right now on the coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, go to reforgeroast.com. We have reestablished the reforgeroast.com under our own ownership. We're no longer doing stuff with Shopify. And so if you go to reforgeroast.com, the website looks amazing. Excuse me. It looks amazing. And our triple threat is back on the menu. You can get all 3 flavors for the cheapest we've ever done it, for $48. There it is. And it looks like maybe merch. I'm going to upset Creature by showing you guys this. It looks like merch may be slowly rolling back out. I see the Reforge Roast Team Light hoodie is available. This might not be functioning right now, so I wouldn't order merch until we give you the green light. But the coffee is excellent. If you're a coffee drinker and you've never tried coffee before with balanced acidity or low acidity, you should definitely try our coffee. I think you will like it a lot, so be sure to check that out. That supports me. That supports my family. This is not a sponsor. We have like boxes and boxes in the house. We bag it up. We ship it to you with little thank you notes. So it's not like I'm getting a kickback from some company. This is actually ours. Apparently it's a really popular series. I didn't know by name, didn't actually know it. For the top choices in Rise of the Ronin. Oh, the popular choices people made in the game. That's cool. Rygen says, can you speculate on how a tier of Game Pass with ads would work? Yeah, we've been considering doing something in the stream as well. We've been considering giving you guys members-only Q&A for like the last hour or last 45 minutes if we hit a goal. If that's something that you would like, let us know. We're just kind of tossing that out as an idea because sometimes I feel like you guys feel like it's tough to ask a question or you kind of miss the Q&A days. So let us know what you think of that. That's just been a suggestion that's come up recently. Rygen asking the question and the way that he did kind of made me think about that. So can I speculate on how a tier of Game Pass with ads would work? So what I think they would do, Rygen, and I think they're already experimenting with this now, when you turn your Xbox on, there is this big giant splash screen ad that pops up about whatever it is that they're trying to promote at the given moment. So I think what they would do is they would offer you Game Pass for, $5 a month. Jez Corden seemed to think that they might do that as like a free option. He could be right. I don't know. He might have just been speculating. He seemed to imply that like a Game Pass ad tier might cost nothing. We'll see if they ever do it. Now, they're not currently planning on doing it. They're looking into it. What I think that they would do is they would make it really, really low cost or free, like $5 or something. And it would be kind of like how they do it on mobile games. Whenever you would turn your Xbox on, you in particular would get a pop-up. Now, if you're like, but if I'm not plugged into the internet, how are they going to feed me ads? If you want to download the games, you're going to need internet. So that's how they're going to get you, right? A $10 super chat from Will Brokeboy Lewis says, it's only a rumor at this time, but they're reporting game coming to Xbox Game Pass. They're reporting that a game coming to Xbox and Game Pass will break the internet sometime next month. Again, only a rumor. What game would do that? Wait, a game coming to Game Pass that would break the internet? How is that not just Call of Duty? Elden Ring? No. World of Warcraft? Who's saying this, Will? Is it somebody that you think is reputable, or you think it's somebody that's just kind of like trying to farm impressions by spreading a rumor? Like, where did you hear this? I feel like Call of Duty is like the biggest game that you could put on Game Pass under their ownership, aside from maybe World of Warcraft. But I don't know if World of Warcraft would break the internet because you'd have to... I think Call of Duty is probably more popular on console with console users than WoW. WoW probably has its primary audience on PC. I don't know why. I don't know if that would break the internet. It's been widely reported. What's been widely reported? That there's a game coming to Game Pass that will break the internet? Who's been reporting that? Oh, yeah, GTA 6. It would have to be GTA 6 if it's not WoW. I don't know. Someone trying to gain clout was saying Helldivers 2. Oh. I don't think Helldivers 2 would break the internet coming to Game Pass, and I don't think that they would do that. PlayStation owns the IP. PlayStation would not approve that. They would not approve Helldivers 2 going to Game Pass. they probably, my guess would be they want Arrowhead working on the game right now and trying to get it into a better place since they lost so much of the user base. I don't think it would be Helldivers 2. Again, PlayStation owns that IP. They would not. I can't envision PlayStation approving that. That would be kind of crazy. Widely reported just means I heard it somewhere. I don't think it's been widely reported. Again, if you're talking like break the internet, I would think it would have to be GTA. It would have to be GTA 6. I have a really hard time thinking that, you know, that Rockstar would do that. The game, they say, is an unnamed game. An unnamed game? So then, would that mean it can't be GTA 6 if it's unnamed? Like, so it would be a new game? It was Helldivers 2? So the rumor was about Helldivers 2? I don't know. Black Ops 6 to me is the biggest game you could put on Game Pass right now. I think it's going to be one of the biggest and most sold Call of Duties in franchise history. I think it'll probably break records for new Game Pass subs. I think it'll beat Starfield. I think Black Ops 6 is a massive, massive game. So rumor, Helldivers 2 coming to Game Pass this month. According to who? A new rumor spread that the claim will break the internet. I mean, I don't care. I originally said, I'm on record. You can go back and watch. I said, I think putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox would be a win. I think anytime it's a live service game, I think the rules are different. I think the more players, the better. I even said at the time, just throw it on Game Pass so everybody can play it and buy war bonds. I don't care at all. It doesn't bother me if that happens because I literally said that would be good for the game. I don't think PlayStation's going to do that. I just don't. They own the IP. That would be bizarre for PlayStation to do that right now. For PlayStation to release Lego Horizon and skip Xbox and not really give any kind of comment on that, and then turn around and put Helldivers 2 on Xbox and Game Pass? I don't think so, Tim. I don't think so. I don't think PlayStation would do that. Agree, Helldivers 2 would be cool, says Jake, but Black Ops 6 is on another level. Yeah, I think the big game is Black Ops 6. I don't think Helldivers 2 would cause much of a kerfuffle. I mean, obviously the PlayStation guys and the Xbox guys would squabble, you know, and the PlayStation guys would probably get really, really angry. I had people strongly disagreeing with me when I said that, yeah, put Helldivers 2 on Xbox. Do it. I don't care. I think that'd be great. Just get more players. I also said that there's a lot of self-interest in me saying that. I'm like, we could play that on a Friday night, and then guess what? Way more people can play. It's like, where are you playing? It doesn't matter. It's like, I'm playing Xbox, I'm playing PC, I'm playing PlayStation. Great, let's all play together. Like, I've always had that attitude about live service games. I think live service games are different. I think they play by different rules. I don't think you need to lock them down. But I think PlayStation has different ideas. I do. Based on everything I've seen PlayStation do, I don't think they would ever do that with Helldivers 2. Even though I think it would be totally fine. I would be okay with it. It wouldn't bother me in the least. This came out after the Black Ops 6 report. It's why people are saying other games. Oh, okay. The rumor died 2 weeks ago when he said that. Oh, is that an old rumor at this point? Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think it'll happen. It would be really, really out of step with everything PlayStation's been doing, you know? Oh, the person who said it is Boomstick? I don't know who Boomstick is. Is that like somebody on Twitter that do they like get leaks and stuff, or like, are they reputable? Is it an outlet? Is it a YouTuber? I don't know who that is. He does this all the time and it's never true. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would be fully in support of Helldivers 2 landing in other places. I'm on record as to saying that, and I got a lot of disagreement when I said it. Because people were like, no, this is a PlayStation game. This is a PlayStation game. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. You know, I'm always in a different mindset when it comes to live service games. YouTuber, okay. Oh, YouTuber, Xbox podcaster. Okay, Special Nick laughed at it. Oh yeah, again, like everything we've seen PlayStation do, that doesn't even remotely line up with their strategy. It just doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's completely out of step with their strategies and things that they've been doing lately. So. I tell you what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to give you 6 minutes to try to get that to 50. And we're going to go to Writer's Room in 6 minutes. And appreciate you guys so much. Do me a quick favor as well. If you haven't hit the like button, let's try to get 60 more likes on this video. There's 400-something people here. I'd hazard a guess that about 60 of you still haven't hit that like button. Do that. It will help this video. It even helps this video when I'm not streaming. So thank you so much. Go ahead and do that rather quickly. And again, you got 6 minutes. If you guys hit 50, I'll owe you 5 more members. And we're right on the doorstep. We only need 13 more. Concord looks DOA. I agree with you. I watched the trailer and I said, well, that's an enormous risk. You know, that's an enormous risk. And then I played it and I watched my nephews play it and I was like, nope. Nope. And a single comes in from Stone Spire. He says, boys, we can do it. And he takes it to 38. Thank you so much. Let me set this up. We'll redirect. You guys got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we are going to get a moving. And Stone Spire does it again. I know what he's doing. He's going to set up the 10-bomb dunker. He's going to walk this all the way to 40. He does another single to take it to 39. Thank you very much. It's unfortunate that Concord's not doing so hot. I kind of liked it. I think the genuine question, though, for people that liked it and the people that were enjoying it is, would you play it 6 months from now? Would you play it enough to, warrant its support and ongoing and monetization and everything else? Another one comes in from Stone Spire, takes it to 40. We are now 10 away from 50. Let's see if we can hit it. Delaying it and make it free to play. I've seen people suggest that. I think Co-Carnage, suggests that. I've seen other people suggest it, and I'm just like, I don't think that's going to change anything. Belphegor gifts a member and takes us to 41. Thank you so much. Marvel Rivals over Concord. I don't even like those games. Like, I'm not like rooting for Marvel Rivals, but Marvel Rivals just looks better to me. I think it's going to have broader appeal, and I tried to tell people. I said, I think Marvel Rivals is going to make things very hard on Concord, and we're already seeing better results for that. And a 20 bomb from MASH takes us to 61. This guy is unbelievable. An Agents of Chaos 20 bomb. Unreal. MASH, the man himself. Somebody's got to tag team with this monster. Help this man out. Help him. Push that number up. There it is. 61 members on the day. If you guys want that Friday night segment where Creature joins us and we play this week's Overcooked, you guys are going to need to hit 160 a day. And MASH is helping. He's getting you guys closer. That's for sure. And I now owe you guys 5 more members. I'll let you guys extend. So I've been letting you guys do that. And I was going to go to Writer's Room a little bit earlier today. But yeah, if you guys keep hammering away at that, I'll let you control the stream a little bit. You know what I mean? Good show, brother. Thank you. Concord doesn't seem to be good at all. No, I think it's good. And I think that's where the praise ends. That's where the praise ends. How's Concord? It's good. That's it. That's the end. There's nothing massively, iterative or innovative, or it's more derivative than iterative. It's more similar than it is original. Like, I think it's good, and that's about where the praise ends. I don't think it has what it takes to make it. IGN review for Concord. They seem to love the game. Thank you for the 2-spot, Will Broke Boy Lewis. Listen, there's a lot of people that are really enjoying the game and giving it high marks. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The industry, the community, the gamers are not responding to the content. They're not. IGN's paid? No, I don't agree with that at all. If IGN is paid, then what? So both PlayStation and Xbox are paying them? And a 20 bomb from Kat. She steps in and says, I'll tag team with the boy Mash. And she does it. She takes us up to 81. Another Agent of Chaos 20 bomb. Unbelievable. Putting us on the doorstep. A 20 bomb would get us to 102 now, with another single coming in from Swoozle. The big players are here. It's happening. You guys just might do it. The game gets better as you learn the game. I think, Alfonso, I think all games get better as you learn them to a certain degree, right? I don't disagree with you. I just don't think anybody cares. It's just another good 5v5 hero shooter. It's like, okay, listen. I know you guys are hyped, and I know people like Splitgate 2. I think Splitgate 2 will have a strong start, but I worry it faces the same problem. Like, it's just another PvP game, Share Bruce Lee says, start sweating, creature. You guys, don't get cocky now. You guys have got a ways to go. Share Bruce Lee, you guys. Don't get cocky now. You guys are just now getting started. You're gonna let him strut around, on Friday afternoon and be like, haha, I don't have to come to the show tonight. Either let Concord die or delay it and completely rework the game. I'm worrying if games last past a few months. I mean, I don't think anybody needs to worry. I don't think you need to worry, but if you like the game, if you're enjoying a game and you would like it to last, well, then, you know what I'm saying? Like let's say you play a game like that, and let's say you're enjoying it and you're having a good time. You don't care if it's just dead 2 months later? Same with Splitgate. It's like if Splitgate comes out and you and your boys are having a blast and you're grinding away and you're getting unlocks and you're working on stuff, and then 2 months later the funnel's dead in the water and nobody's playing. Well, you don't care about that? I mean, you personally might not care about that, Eugene, but plenty of people are going to be like really disappointed if these games don't make it. I disagree. I think they've got a fun loop, and they can keep up with maps, modes, new heroes. It'll be fine. Also, variants and the CGI. These are all things beyond season passes. Mule, I don't think the game has a shot at all. I don't. It wouldn't surprise me if that studio's in total panic mode about, like, what in the frick are we going to do? I do. I think that game is... The studio could even be in trouble. And a member plus from Liquid Smoke, and that takes us to 83 members on the day. VIPs and member pluses count now. Liquid Smoke with 38 months. Welcome back. I got 2 months out of my 40. That's what's there to complain about. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're creating a unique perspective, which is fine. That's your perspective. I don't think your perspective is shared. I don't. I don't think somebody buys a game like that, sees a content plan, sees a live service format and an ongoing format, and would come to the same conclusion as you. Who cares? Who cares if it's dead in 2 months? I got my money's worth. Like, people are buying into an idea when they buy a game like that. They're buying into an idea that, like, if this game's going to get support, this game's going to last, this game's going to be around for a while. I'm not saying you have that mentality. You're going in thinking, yeah, I'll play this for a couple months with the boys, put it down, never look back, and that'll be fine with me. I think the rest of the gaming world would approach the game, somewhat differently than that. They might say, well, yes, I expect the game to last. That this is the vision that they've essentially sold, is it not? Everything about it screams free to play. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that would save it. The open beta was free, and it didn't seem to have, much of a turnout on Steam. It could amass some huge or healthy or good amount of people on console, but I just don't see it. I don't get why you would think it'd be that dire. There are plenty of games that have small dedicated bases. That's true. That's not what this game's aim is, though. This game was meant to be the next live service game from Sony. It's a PlayStation-owned studio. I don't think this is like, listen, on one hand, I agree with you, Mule. I told people, I said, look, Helldivers 2 was not expected to have the turnout that they did. It was meant to be like a smaller core knit game. They were hoping for, I think, like a small core group of people that would like the game. So I don't think Arrowhead's in a panic at all about how many players that they've lost, because they far exceeded all expectations, okay? So they could certainly be looking at Concord the same way and being like, it's a smaller team, smaller budget, we don't expect to have a ton of players. But PlayStation bought them for their expertise in their technology and this game. And if the game basically, if the response and the results that we're seeing right now are an indication of how the game does when it launches, then it's going to be an absolute flop. Thanks for the gifted sub. Well, thanks for being here. I'm Dree30. Here, let me do the 10. I owe you guys 10. Let me quickly do that. Quickly drop that on the chat. Thank you again to everybody who pushed the member count a little bit higher. I'll give you guys 5 minutes. I'll keep letting you extend the stream. There's the 10 that I owe. I'll give you guys 5 minutes to try to hit 100. We'll see if you can do it. The goal for the day was basically 160. If you hit 160 today and then Thursday and Friday, you guys will secure the Friday night stream with Creature. He'll show up and we'll play some Overcooked. I keep losing the game name. What did Henry Heck say? It just depends on their budget. I pay $70 for games, beat them in 2 weeks, never touch them again. So for me, $40 for a 6-month, the 12-month work of fun isn't a bad deal. I'm not saying it's a bad deal. I'm saying that other people will view it differently. Kill the Justice League had more players. That says something. You thinking that Sony's going to shut down the studio? I think it's a possibility. I don't think they will. If you go read their acquisition press release, they really, really like the talent at Firewalk. So they could be protected purely because PlayStation said, we really think you guys have got what it takes. If Concord doesn't make a ton of money, that's okay. We've got other things we want you to work on and help with. Therapy Quantified renews a member and bumps the line to 84. Thank you so much. And you guys got 4 minutes. That feels sort of achievable to me and the kind of thing that can certainly grow at the start of a baseline and be self-sufficient. We know that. They never said expectations are to take on Fortnite. I haven't argued that they're trying to take on Fortnite. Mule, I have videos on this channel saying this game could be a smaller experimental game in PlayStation's mind. PlayStation's strategy quite literally could be This is not meant to be the next Fortnite. This is just meant to be another small live service game that we support for a couple years, gather data, and then move on to the next thing. They did not think Helldivers 2 was going to be this big breakout thing. That far exceeded expectations. Concord could have very, very similar meager expectations. I have said that many times. That doesn't mean they want it to flop. And I see a lot of indications that it will flop. That's what I see. Yeah, moving out's pretty fun, Neffets, but I think Overcooked will be better for Friday night. And a 20 bomb from Riddish. He says, come on, boys. Let's get a 20 bomb train going. That's like the third 20 bomb of the day. We're collecting 20 bombs at this point. 104 members on the day out of 125. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. What is dead, though? What does that mean? Do you mean that it can't get any more updates or seasons? Is it dead? It's dead when no one's playing it. I don't see it. It's a fun game. Mule, listen to me now. A lot of the times, my gut instinct needs confirmation, okay? I didn't have a gut instinct on Kill the Justice League. But I looked at it and I thought, I think they could pull it off. And then you know what happened? I played the game and I completely changed my opinion. And I was like, this game's done. I got to the end game of Justice League and I said, this is bad. I'm not coming back to this game. Right? And whenever Foam Stars came up, I said, I get that a lot of people don't like the way that it looks. I kept saying it could have an audience in the Asian market because PlayStation doesn't have a game like Splatoon, and Splatoon exploded, right? And then Foam Stars came out, and that didn't happen. I looked at Concord. Thank you for the single gifted. Stone Spire setting up a 20-bomb dunker. 105 out of 125. We'll see if anybody takes the bait. Thank you so much, Stone Spire. I thought Concord was a big risk. I thought it looked generic. I thought, I don't think people are going to like this. I played it. I watched my nephews play it. I watched the numbers on Steam. I got confirmation of my gut instinct. It was like, no. Right? Like, my gut instinct can be wrong. A gut instinct is not a surefire thing. Typically with live service games, I'm usually dead on. Whenever it comes to like design and how they structure things, I can quickly tell people this is going to be a problem. Virtually everything that I said was going to be a problem with New World was a problem, and it led to a lot of people quitting, and it hurt the game. All the problems I pointed out with Helldivers too, they became a problem. They said they're going to reassess how often War Bonds came out. Like, with respect to live service popularity and consumer response, I've got a pretty good track record. I missed on Kill the Justice League. I accept that. But as soon as I experienced the game, I changed my opinion. I was like, nope. When I assess this game's quality and its live service structure, it doesn't have what it takes. As soon as I touched that game, I thought, great gameplay loop. And what did I keep saying? They're really going to have to win me over in the end game because this is fun, but I got to get to the end game. Got to the end game, and I was like, this is dead in the water. Right? I admitted, I was like, I don't think Foam Stars is going to be a hit in the West. It could be a hit in Asian market. And it seemingly was not. I looked at Concord. I thought, I don't think so. I played it. I've seen community response to it. I think that thing's done. Cooked. No player base to speak of in 6 months. If I'm wrong, great. But you're like, well, is Destruction All-Stars dead? I don't know. I don't know Destruction's All-Stars community numbers. I don't know their content cadence. I don't know any of that. I don't know where that game is. All I know is, in the market of shooters, arena shooters, hero shooters, PvP games, I don't think Concord has legs to speak of. I don't think it has it. And listen, maybe I'm losing my touch. You know, maybe I'm losing my crystal ball of predictive powers, and maybe I'm completely and utterly wrong. Maybe I'm just getting old and I can't read the market and I can't read the tea leaves anymore. That's certainly possible. You know, old man's losing his edge. Lono can't call it anymore like he used to. That's possible. I think there's a ton of people that agree with my assessment and analysis of Concord. That doesn't make me right. But it certainly means that increases the likelihood that I'm onto something. that the industry is going to reject that game. I don't have an axe to grind. I don't have anything against the devs. I don't have anything against the game. I'm just calling it how I see it. I think Concord has a great loop. It has clear content plan. I agree it's unlikely to find a larger user base, especially if it's paid, but it's going to have a dedicated base. I don't think so. No. I don't think you can get a dedicated base with a game like that. I don't think so. It's too derivative. It's too derivative. It feels like too many other games. I think it gets old. I think that game gets old and stale very fast. Very fast. A month in, people are going to be like, yeah, I've played enough. New maps and modes won't matter. New heroes won't matter. It won't. I commented this morning. Co-Carnage said something. And then Gene said something. Gene Park said something. And I replied and said, listen, if you made it a PVE game where we would go to planets and I would have to do this PVE thing faster than another team, and we're going for loot and we're getting loot and I can add things to my hero and my hero has a skill tree, I'd play the snot out of that game and I'd keep coming back. New planets, new loot, new heroes. Oh, let's go. Building a squad, building a team. Oh, I'd be in there. 5v5 hero shooter where every game is essentially the same as the last. You either win or you lose. You plant the bomb or you don't. You get a kill or you don't. Come on. We've played that game before. We all have. There's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. And that game really makes that obvious. It's like, it's just, in a word, derivative. That's it. It's just derivative. And derivative doesn't mean it's not quality. You could make a derivative. I'll give you an example. I watched on Netflix because I love Amy Adams. I think she's fantastic. I watched Woman at the Window. It was derivative of a classic. A classic called Rear Window from a genius with a fantastic actor. Okay? So Woman at the Window was derivative. All the quality was there. Great acting. She's phenomenal. I don't know if she's done a bad movie yet. I don't know if she's done a bad performance yet. She's fantastic. Right? Oh, the quality was there. Gary Oldman's in the frickin' movie. It's a great movie. The quality was there. But ultimately, it was a little derivative. It was like, yeah, this is a very familiar story. Played out a little differently, but it was Rear Window. And anybody familiar with Rear Window is going to say, this is a bit derivative. Do you know what the advantage Woman at the Window has? Do you know what advantage it has? It's very, very far removed from Rear Window. So the quality of the cinematography and the setups and the framing and all that, I mean, and most of the audience probably hasn't even seen Rear Window, which is a shame. It's an absolute shame. But the point I'm making is, imagine looking at the movies and everything that you have now, and imagine that somebody creates a movie that is derivative of Jurassic Park, like a year after Jurassic Park came out. You guys remember this, right? Jurassic Park came out, and then there were all these derivative, low-budget dinosaur movies that came out. Well, when it's that close to the original, it just feels stupid. It's like, what are y'all doing? It feels cheap. It feels very, very derivative when it's in close proximity. That's the problem with Concord. Concord's in such close proximity with all these other hero shooters. It's just like, I've kind of played this before. You take the genius and the brilliance of Alfred Hitchcock, who I absolutely love. I actually think Hitchcock and Rod Serling with The Twilight Zone, I think they're impacting how I think about content creation and storytelling. I mean it. I think they were geniuses. and doing something derivative off of something that they created all that long ago, it's less likely for people to like deduce that it's derivative. Concord's landing on the heels of games that like it looks and feels almost exactly like them. That's the problem. It's not like Concord is being derivative of Space Invaders or River Raid or Pac-Man, and people be like, oh, I see the inspiration points, but this is fresh and new. It's, yeah, I played a game just like this 2 months ago for free. Will Broke Boy Lewis with the $5 super chat tip says, I think Concord will be free PlayStation Plus Essential monthly game within 3 to 6 months of release unless they change course and do it in September after it launches. Newland says, not arguing against you about quality. I'm debating your metrics for failure. I think your metric for it being dead is impossible. Concord, for as long as those servers are live, will load matches. Oh, Mule, I love that you're being optimistic and positive. I'm not being condescending. I'm being genuine. I genuinely love when somebody's being optimistic and positive because I've been there. Everybody was trashing Justice League, and I thought, I think this game has a shot. Everybody's hating it. Come on. This looks like it could be good. And then it wasn't. And I just kind of had to admit that this game doesn't have legs. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to build a live service game at all. When I look at Concord, and you're like, oh, yeah, as long as the servers are up, there'll be matches. No, there won't. No, there won't. The tailspin of a live service game that has to live and die on the player funnel, it will compound every time players walk away. Because every time players walk away, there are friends that say, my friends aren't playing now, so I'm going to play less. And then I'm going to play less. And then I'm going to play less. It spiderwebs out like cracks on glass. And then what happens when that happens is the glass gets weak and matchmaking takes longer. And then whenever you finally do get into a game, the connection quality is crap. And that drives more people away. And before you know it, that little crack in the glass has spread to every corner and nobody's playing. It happens. It happens. And I think it's going to happen to that game. If I'm wrong, so be it. But I'm calling it as I see it. That game won't last. It won't. And the minute players start leaving like that, it just spreads and spreads and spreads. You don't want to play when your friends aren't playing. You don't want to play when matchmaking takes a long time. And you certainly don't want to play when you finally get into a match and it's laggy. The way word of mouth spread and made Helldivers blow up, it works in the exact opposite direction when people start hating a game and not liking it. Mullen says, I'm not being positive, I'm being objective. There are PS3 multiplayers that still have live hobbies. Okay, listen, I don't think you're being objective. I think you are being positive. You cannot be objective when you're claiming if there are servers that are on, there will be matches, okay? That's not true. If there aren't enough people playing to get you good matches, you'll just sit there, brother. You'll just sit there. This happens to games, dude. Games die. You can't just leave the servers on. There are PS3 multiplayer games that still load matches and have user bases. I don't get it. I mean, that doesn't prove your claim that this game won't be dead. If you want me to define dead for a game like Concord is an expeditious player exodus where matchmaking suffers and then drives more players away. That's dead to me. Now, if you're defining dead as 0 players, no matches ever again, listen, nobody talks like that. If you're going to define dead so rigidly, then virtually no game is ever dead until they shut the servers off. Well, that's when it's dead. Like, come on, man. You know that when we use this gamer colloquialism of dead, if we say a game is dead, we basically mean like, yeah, the player base is so dwindled that it's barely alive. What is it? Let's see. Okay. This is a dead game, brother. This is a dead game. That's how we use the expression. That's dead game. Here you go. All the way down to here, dead. I mean, that's just how we use the term. If I need to use a different term, so be it. But that's a dead game. That game's done. That game's cooked. Now, they could rub the paddles together, completely change everything, and bring it back. Sure. I don't know if that's going to happen. But that's a dead game. Just because there's 184 people playing Kill the Justice League right now doesn't mean we wouldn't say that's a dead game. It's as lifeless as it gets. So, yeah, if you don't like the term I'm using, you're taking issue with the term, okay, fine. I think Concord will be on life support within 6 months of its launch. If you want to call that life support, let's call it life support. It's going to be there within 6 months, not even 6 months, probably 3 months. Concord was getting outpaced by Ancient Games on Steam. It was free. It was a free-to-play beta, and no one was playing. Somebody asked what I thought about the Helldivers 2 update. I don't think Helldivers will make a compelling amount of like comeback and resurgence if they don't surprise and delight the players with power fantasy again. I think they went too far with balances and nerfs, and I think people will come back and say, yeah. I also think they need to consider what they're doing with the war bonds, putting guns on the war bonds. There's too many war bonds. They're going to have to consider all of that if they want people to come back. New content is an answer, but it's not the answer. They need a more robust answer than just, oh, there's new enemies and new activities. And Behemoth with the 20 bomb! It sat there dangling for a while, and he said, I'll take it. I will take the 20 bomb dunker. 125 members on the day. Behemoth slams it home. We genuinely need to be done in 5 minutes. I let you guys extend. I was going to end a little bit early, but man, you guys brought the heat, so we kept going. So thank you so much, Behemoth. The story of Concord is interesting and has something there. The characters are also fun to play with. If it turns into a PvE game with some PvP, I would take a look. I'm telling you, Von Raz, put this game back in the oven and change the ingredients. Do it. Issue with Helldivers is adjusting guns that folks may have purchased, like guns that you get from DLCs in Destiny that get nerfed, buffed, or adjusted. You know? Fragpunk's closed beta had more players than Concord's open beta. That's not a good sign. I actually think Fragpunk looked kind of dope. I don't even know. It's just another hero shooter, so I don't know about its life, length. But I thought it did look pretty good. I owe you guys 10. I owe you 10 for the 100 and the 125. Let me drop a 10. We got to get out of here in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes. If you guys hit 160, you put us on pace for the Friday night stream with Creature. You could do it. You're going to have to scramble. You're going to need like a 20 bomb member train. Yeah, I say put Concord back in the oven and give me PVE, dude. They've got the story for it. You're a crew of people fighting against other crews. Just make it a looter. I know they don't have time for this. Making an entire loot table and giving people skill trees. It's a freaking pipe dream. I understand that. I get it. I admit that this is a freaking pipe dream. But that's what I would do if it was possible. To end it, do you think Concord will get no new seasons in 2026? I think Concord's going to end up almost exactly like Kill the Justice League. Whatever they have built and planned, they'll deliver. Everything else, done. there is absolutely no way they're looking at the results of the beta and saying, yeah, we're going to go the distance with this game. Let's go for 5 years. I think they're already planning EOL right now. I mean it. They're either planning restructure to go free to play. Maybe they're planning PVE. I don't know. Let me tell you something. They're in meetings right now. Ain't no way that Firewalk's like, no, we're good. We're good. This is the results that we wanted to get. We're happy. No. They're either sketching out EOL, or they're sketching out major changes, or they're sketching out a way to do free to play in PVE. Something. But I don't think that they're like, yep, all systems go. This thing's ready to go to the moon and be a 5-year live service game. Hey, Lono, at least you get more viewers in chat every day than a AAA studio gets players in their new game. Oof, it's harsh. They were meeting 2 weeks ago trying to plan what Sony will accept, 2.0 or EOL. Can't see Concord not having a dedicated user base. You mentioned not getting matches 6 months later. I think that's crazy. Games just don't end up like that on PlayStation. Always a niche. Are you sure about that? Did you see the player base number reports for Foam Stars? Are you sure about that? You think PlayStation can wave a magic wand over a live service game? Kill the Justice League is on PlayStation. Is that helping it stay alive just because it's on the PlayStation platform? We don't know what the PlayStation user base has been. We'll see when we get the engagement numbers from Circana. I hope for everybody's sake that enjoyed the game that I'm wrong. I do. I hope that I'm wrong. They seem like a nice studio. They seem like nice people. I do. I hope that the game is successful. I'm just calling it how it is. Just calling it how it is. Calling it as a... No, I'm sorry. That sounds arrogant. I'm calling it how I see it. I'm not calling it how it is. I'm calling it how I see it. And how I see it is, game will go nowhere. You will struggle to find a match in 6 months. They will only deliver what was promised. They will EOL that game post haste. It'll be quick. It'll be quick. It's not a 5-year game. No. Barely 2 years, if that. How's it feel having more people on your stream than concurrent players in Kill the Justice League? Stop. Why would the console crowd be different from the PC crowd? Yeah, we've never seen evidence of this anywhere else. I mean, listen, some of y'all used to really make fun of the Halo guys for this because that's how they coped with Halo Infinite looking terrible on Steam. They would say, oh, most people are playing on console. And we all knew the truth. We all knew the truth. That game was in trouble and that people were not playing. We knew that game wasn't maintaining a healthy player base. If it was, because now you're saying, oh, Infinite's in the top 30 consistently on Xbox while being at the bottom on Steam. Top 30 competing against what, though, Eugene? And if that top 30 was generating enough money and enough health, why would they not keep supporting it? Why? You think Halo Infinite's in a healthy place just because it's in top 30 on Xbox? Come on. We ran into this all the time with Halo. We would look at the Steam numbers and people would say, oh, but everybody plays on Xbox. And it's like, what? You think that the game's in a great place, the cadence of content? They're basically putting the game on EOL. If being in the top 30 was a great place to be, then they would be continuing to support Halo Infinite. Like... We all know that top played list on Xbox, you're not competing with much. They don't have a large user base to begin with. I never said anything about health, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, right now, we're basically saying that you will only get promised content in Concord because it's not going to make it. And that's essentially what happened to Halo Infinite. That's what's happening to Kill the Justice League. You don't get enough players. You don't have enough people consistently playing. You cut all future plans, and you only give what's promised. So if you're going to look at games that don't do well on Steam, and we've always said that's a barometer of how the gaming community is responding to that game, and when those numbers drop, we always say, yeah, this game's losing, it's losing interest, it's losing players. Now, I've never agreed with using concurrent player numbers to say that, oh yeah, 90% of the player base just walked away. No, because concurrent isn't MAU. We've been through this debate before. Concurrent peaks don't equal MAU. But it still gives an indication of the game's decline. We've always argued this, whether it was New World or it was, Kill the Justice League or Helldivers, you can use Steam as a barometer. And the fact that Concord barely made a blip of a presence on Steam, that is, I think, a huge indication of that game's longevity. Big time. So we gotta go to writer's room. I don't want to extend any longer than I did. Give me 1 second. Modern Warfare 3 is supposed to be out right now, right? It's supposed to be on Game Pass right now, yes. And the new season starts today as well. Yes. All right, I'm going to give you guys a link in chat. Smash that like button on the way out. Let's try to get 300 likes on this video. We're going to the writer's room. This is for members. Thank you for an enormous day of members. You guys are still within reach of getting that Creature stream on Friday night. Thanks so much for being a member. If you are a gifted member, if you're paying for your own membership, make sure and celebrate those member renewals in the stream, especially if you're a member plus or a VIP. If you're currently at the standard membership tier, we are asking people to upgrade. It's how we do this every day. It's $1. Member plus is $6 a month, and we're considering doing a huge celebration, something crazy every month, if we can get the number of people paying for their own memberships up to 1,000, because right now it's at about 600. So if you're not paying for your own membership, you can help us hit that goal. I'm going to end the previous stream. We were talking about, Game Pass, this new era with Call of Duty. There's an upload on the channel. Make sure and check that out, and we appreciate you guys supporting that live stream. It got a little lively at the end. We even kind of extended. I was going to end a little bit early because we were kind of on just like